Now, the British Prime Minister has reiterated calls for President Assad to step down to make way for a new government formed by the Syrian opposition. And as the UK continues to provide aid for the rebels, there are now fears ordinary Britons are heading for the Syrian front line. RT's Laura Smith explains.
To most Britons going about their everyday lives, the war in Syria seems worlds away. But for a few, it's a struggle they feel personally involved in. As the UK government portrays President Assad as an evil dictator, there's evidence that Britons are going to Syria to fight for the opposition. Birmingham area MP Khalid Mahmoud says some in his community have already gone.
There is a particular individual who's actually now gone back to Baghdad at the moment and is coming back in a few weeks' time, who's been engaged in fundraising, supporting people and putting people together to go back. You get people who are saying they're just going over to support an aid work, and others are blatantly outright saying that they are going out to support the resistance.
Some, says Mahmoud, are of British Syrian extraction. Others are British Muslims who feel their faith makes this their struggle. But whatever their reasons for going, the fear is what they'll be when they return.
They're trained in the art of warfare, but they're also radicalised as well. And then they'll want to then continue that radicalisation. They want to bring more people on board, and then perhaps they'll look to resolve some of the gripes that they have here.
That's blowback the UK has already seen from another conflict here in London on the 7th of July 2005. The official report into the 7/7 bombings reveals the existence of rumours that 2 out of the 4 bombers had been to Afghanistan for so-called violent jihad. Back in the UK, Mohammed Sadiq Khan and Shihzad Tanweer together killed 14 people in combined suicide attacks. The 7/7 bombers were only vaguely known to the authorities, and that could be the case for fighters returning from Syria too. It's all very well to notify the UK Borders Agency, but in reality, there's very little they can do.
People that may leave here to fight in Syria will not go directly to Syria. They may stop in Turkey or Lebanon or Iraq. So the government will not be able to really know the ultimate destination. There's no real way of telling whether they're actually going to end up in Syria. There is no way to know who, when they enter Syria, who they'll be liaising with, what their ideology is necessarily, how their ideologies and viewpoints might change in Syria.
These are the scenes that could greet them on their return. Anti-Islamist organisation the English Defence League is unlikely to take further radicalisation of British Muslims lying down, creating more bad feeling and deeper fissures in an already divided society. Paul Weston, whose British Freedom Party is allied to the EDL, says militant groups are preparing for a confrontation.
We are going to get further and further into this horrible situation of them and us and them and us, and then you have small-scale violence that starts, and then it's the tit for tat, and it's like I think that we're literally entering into a religious civil war scenario in Britain.
So far, the government's given the Syrian opposition $8 million for non-lethal equipment, including communications. But ordinary Britons could find themselves paying the far higher price of unrest and insecurity at home for this support for the Syrian opposition. Laura Smith, RT, London.